All right. Mark here again, folks. Cooking books, bringing y'all the info. Y'all know how I do. Tonight, I want to discuss two separate entities and how they correlate: the subconscious mind and the ribosome. So we're talking about the ribosome, a tangible, right? Subconscious mind, an intangible. Ribosome, your biology. Subconscious mind, well, that could be that's your biology as well, but it's an intangible asset of our biology. You can't touch the subconscious mind, whereas the ribosome is tangible. Uh, the ribosome. Let's start with what's the ribosome. So the subconscious mind will be an intangible, and the ribosome will be a tangible. So let's talk with the ribosome and how these two correlate, and they share a very similar methodology, and that's what I really want us to focus on. Not so much what they are, but their methodology, the method in which they both function. And I'm going to really emphasize and be empathetic on their methodology, because that's what I really wanted to take away. Very interesting stuff. I hope that you get this. Magical, almost magical, this stuff. So the ribosome, what is it? Okay, it's a workstation within a cell located within the cytoplasm of the cell. I'll say it again. The ribosome would be considered a workstation, a post located within the cytoplasm of a cell. It's responsible for translation. One more time. Ribosome located within the cytoplasm of the cell is considered a workstation and responsible for translation of genetic information, or the gene code. It translates the gene code that it is fed. All right, now, when I say fed, that's because your DNA, which is a double helix, replicates what's called a gene, or a segment of itself, and it's called a gene. That segment that's replicated by the DNA, it's called mRNA. That mRNA is considered a gene. Within that gene, there is instructions, specific instructions on how a specialized protein is to be manufactured and or designed. I'll say that again. Your DNA replicates a gene, which is a copy of itself, and that gene is called mRNA, messenger RNA, and that mRNA has the specialized instructions and how to make a unique and particular protein. Stay with me. This is heavy stuff. This is genetics. It's fascinating, heavy, but it's dense, but it's very powerful if we can absorb it. Now, so your mRNA, which is a copy of your DNA, encoded in what's called a gene, is transferred to the ribosome. Once the mRNA reaches the ribosome, in conjunction with another molecule that's called tRNA, transfer RNA, works in cahoots. They work in cahoots together to translate the mRNA. mRNA meaning messenger RNA. The mRNA is translated by the ribosome and the tRNA into its physical equivalence, which is called an amino acid, which is a protein, and at its completion, it's called a polypeptide. So the mRNA is transferred from the DNA and transferred to the ribosome. The ribosome works with tRNA, converts the mRNA, which means decodes the instructions, and in that conversion and that translation, a protein is manufactured. A particular protein with a specialized function within that cell is manufactured, and that protein is considered a sequence, amino acid sequence. And in its completion, the final product is called a polypeptide. I hope you guys followed me on that. So that's a very generic explanation, very detailed, but yet generic, right? Because there's more to it than that. I'm keeping it as lay as possible, so that even a baby can understand this. So we see how the ribosome receives the mRNA, and in conjunction or in cahoots with the tRNA, both ribosome and tRNA works to translate or to convert the instructions into its physical equivalence, which is a polypeptide end product. Polypeptide end product, reverse that, that's the amino acid, which is a protein. Now, the reason why I want to discuss the ribosome is because that process that I just explained to you is an identical process to how your subconscious mind works. You can watch this video again, but try and stay with me and try to see where the correlation lies. Again, that process, that step-by-step process that I just outlined, is in direct correlation to how the subconscious mind works. And now let's talk about how the subconscious mind works and see how the two are analogous to each other, very similar. Your subconscious mind receives a thought. You plant a thought in your subconscious thinking, in your subconscious mind. A thought is planted. The thought is analogous of the gene. Remember, the gene, it's dense, so stay with me, be patient with me. The gene is a replication of the DNA, a segment of the DNA. And within that gene, there is a particular and unique instruction on how to design a particular and unique protein, which the ribosome then does. We just mentioned that in the aforementioned. Your subconscious mind, in this scenario, your subconscious mind would be analogous to the ribosome. A thought enters into your mind would be analogous to the mRNA, which is the gene. So the thought is analogous to the gene. Your subconscious mind is analogous to the ribosome. When a thought is planted in your subconscious mind, like a gene is planted in the ribosome, that thought has entered into the subconscious mind's laboratory. Let's call it a lab. In this scenario, or in this scheme, we're going to call your subconscious mind a chemical laboratory. That thought is planted into the chemical laboratory, which is your subconscious mind, and it is blended, it is mixed, it is amalgamated with faith, the faith that you have in that thought, that desire. Let's use the word desire, not just a thought, but a desire is planted in your subconscious mind. You have a desire. You're thinking of a desire, a home, financial, whatever that desire may be. It's planted in the subconscious laboratory. It is mixed with faith. It is blended with belief. It is blended with determination. It is further amalgamated with confidence, trust, and persistence, and it is made ready to be translated into its physical equivalence. The gene enters the ribosome. It is translated, converted into its physical equivalence, which is a particular protein designed for a particular and unique purpose within the cell. And that's how your subconscious mind works. That's the correlation. A thought, desire, which is analogous of a gene, is planted in your subconscious mind, which is analogous of the ribosome. The subconscious mind converts, translates that thought or that desire by cloaking and clothing it in faith and belief that you have in your desire that it will show up. And from there, the subconscious mind translates that desire into its physical equivalence into the real world. If you don't get that, watch this video again. Because if that hits you, if that really hits you deep down in the neuronal pathways of your cerebellum, if that hits you deep down in the neural networks, the neural wiring of your temporal lobe, you will begin to bring and speak things into existence. You will be able to speak your life into existence. Watch out, world. Here comes a powerful, powerful person. Anyone under the sound of my voice that is able to register, to let that really register. If you can register that, if you can watch this video, slow it down, break it down, and connect the correlation. The ribosome has no other alternative but to reproduce what it is fed. The gene that is fed into the ribosome must, its input, the gene input, the ribosome must have an exact output. The only distinction is the output is clothing in a physical form. So it comes in as purely instructions and directions, comes out as a product that is clothed in a physical form, that physical form being a protein, that protein being a sequence called an amino acid, its end product, a polypeptide. No, that is exactly how your subconscious mind takes a thought, molds that thought, mix that thought with your faith and your belief, converts that thought from an intangible, which is an instruction, your desire. This is what you're telling your subconscious you want. I want this house. I want this job. I want this car. I want this movie that I'm working on. I want this play that I'm writing. When you plant that desire, which is the gene, is analogous to the gene in the subconscious mind, like the ribosome, cannot, I repeat, cannot do anything but reproduce and translate and convert that wish, that desire, that which you implanted into it. It cannot, it's an unwavering, unfailing law that the subconscious mind has. It cannot do anything but produce the physical equivalence. And when I say physical equivalence, it means a match, a equal copy of the desire. The only difference is the word physical, because now it shows up in its physical form. If you said this is the house you wanted, the desire that you planted, the subconscious mind must give you that desire in its physical form, which would be the house. Again, instruction, I want this house. That's being iterated. That's being suggested, auto-suggested. That is being self-talk. That is an internal dialogue. A monogram, I believe, a recording device. That is the internal dialogue that you are planting over and over and over into your subconscious thinking, therefore deceiving the subconscious thinking. The subconscious thinking, like the ribosome, has no other alternative but to give you the physical product or the physical equivalence of the desire that you have been repeatedly repeating to the subconscious. And the secret is this, folks. This is the key. This is the key. The key to this formula working is not saying I want a house. That's it. I want this career. That's it. I want this job. I want these funds. That's it. The key to this is making your desire a dominant and prevailing and prevalent thought. Again, the key to the success of this working, this manifestation, the desire must become a dominant thought. That thought you must become obsessive, so to speak. You must become obsessive with the desire. That desire must occupy your mind. Now, let's be practical. It can't occupy your mind 100% of the time. Nothing will. There's too many frequencies constantly being signaled to us on a regular basis. But it must dominate your mind. It must have the preeminence in your thinking, and it must be the dominant thought in your mind for most of the time, for most of the day, for most of the night. That desire must become a dominating thought in your mind. That is the key. And this is why so many people fail to see the end result of this spiritual law or spiritual formula. This is why so many people fail to attract the law of attraction. This is why so many people fail to speak things into being, because we are quick to become doubtful when we set a desire and it doesn't come out like a microwave. You put the food in the microwave and it pops right out. right? That mentality is what allows so many of us to become frustrated, disheartened, discouraged, and downright dismayed and give up on the practice of this formula. But the key, again, I want to emphasize the key to the success of this methodology is to be in constant reiteration, repeated repetitiveness. You have to keep repeat auto suggestion. It must be something that is the thought becomes a dominant thought in your mind. And if you can allow it to become a dominant thought in your mind, like the ribosome, again, the subconscious mind has no other alternative but to return back to you that desire in its physical form and or physical equivalence. Till next time, y'all know what I'm gonna be doing, cooking these books and sharing the info. Peace.